what a start, what a day for India. They kick off this three-match test series on Boxing Day against South Africa with 272 on the board for the loss of just 3 wickets with in what we saw was an uninterrupted day at Centurion. We look back at how things unfolded on day one with Daryl Cullinan and Wasim Jaffer on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Let's ask Wasim first up how pleased he'd be for India with that sort of score and that sort of performance after winning the toss. Wasim.
Oh, I think it was fantastic. Winning the toss and making the right decision, and then following it up with that kind of performance. I mean, I did say that 275, 300, India would take it, but to go 272 for three at day end, I think they'll be very pleased. And what a knock by KL Rahul. Perfect start, 100 odd for no loss from Mayank and KL. I think they gave the perfect start to the series and to the test match. So I think India will look to dominate, obviously. It's a long way to go, but I think it's a perfect day one for Team India.
I mean, it's a dream start for any touring team, isn't it, Daryl? Especially when you come at the start of a big series for an Asian team in South Africa.
Well, the much vaunted pace attack, talk of the pitch, the fortress. We heard it all before the start of the match, but that is definitely India's day. We saw during the day that the average score at this ground is 268 for 7 on the first day. As Wasim said, to get to 270 odd and you're only 3 down, you are in a very strong position at this stage, because the moment the South African bowlers put something into it, we did see 1 or 2 balls from Rabada and Ngidi just behave unexpectedly for a first day pitch.
How would you sum that day up from a South African point of view, Darren? There are 2 parts to it. One, India batted beautifully. The openers were terrific. The other, some criticism of whether South Africa could have bowled any better, especially in the first session. How would you sum that day up from South Africa's bowling?
Oh, their bowling in the first session was dismal, to say the least. We had Ngidi bowling at 130. Rabada averaged 135 for the day. The first day of a test match in a 3-match series, you at home, you surely got to really running hard. Rahul looked in trouble. It wasn't too often when the ball was short. South Africa never really tested him there. You got Rabada, who seems to have settled into a 136, 137 away swing. He never got to where he was bowling like that. It's a good variation. Is he at the stage of his career when he's hasn't got the pace? I don't think so. Ngidi struggled to get to the wicket. Yes, he claimed a wicket or 2, 3, as we know, after lunch. But I just thought in true South African fashion, first up, ball in hand, they needed to go hard at India. Too many overs all day long, particularly that first session highlighted it. They just went through the motions. Janssen didn't know what length to bowl. Yeah. He struggled. We spoke about the follow-up lengths being fuller, but no one really settled into a natural length, which he should have. So from a third seamer perspective, it really wasn't a good day for him, and you've got to question his selection. But by and large, when there was something there, we saw something happen, but you had to bowl it into the pitch. And I'm sorry, South Africa off the pace today.
All right, very interesting that. Before we talk about KL Rahul, let's talk about the opening partnership. Wasim Jaffer would enjoy talking about a successful opening stand away from home especially. And you had said, Wasim, one of the things you were looking forward to in this series was how this combination of Rahul and Mayank go now. And in what's a tough place to find a consistent run in, the Indian team at the top of the order. How well did Mayank and Rahul start for you? What was the hallmark of their partnership?
I think they played perfectly. I mean, we all know what KL, can do. Mayank obviously hasn't played in South Africa, especially in Test matches, but I think he played perfectly. They both actually, form a really good partnership. If I talk from Punjab Kings' point of view, and they both come from the same state. They played a lot of cricket together, so they complement each other. They know both of them. They run really well. So it's not surprising to see them do well because they've done that in the past. And for a team to do well, especially away from home, the opening partnership is so crucial. And like I said, they gave the perfect start on the first day of the series. And something which is good to see from this team, in the last few test matches, Rohit and KL got 100 partnership against England. Now this pair also has got 100 partnership. Rohit is not there, and that is something good to see. And if India goes past 400 and above, India should look to dominate. And probably the first time, if I can talk, that Indian fast bowling attack look faster than the South Africa, which has never happened before. So that is something very strange to see.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see how India's bowlers bowl on this. We'll have a fairer assessment then perhaps of what South Africa could have done right. But sticking to Rahul and Mayank, Wasim, they didn't seem like there were nerves. You felt like Mayank in his first test in South Africa, or maybe even Rahul coming back into the team, whether there'd be a little bit of just not pressure necessarily, but certainly nerves to start with. Looked a very assured partnership from the top.
They did, and I think like Daryl said, the lens that the South African bowlers bowled, I think that must have helped. Marco Janssen bowling full tosses at the start of his first over. Ngidi didn't look fast enough, and Rabada also is hardly bowled any ball which was 140 plus. So that must have helped. Any opener getting those kind of deliveries at the start of the innings, that gives you the perfect start. So I think that nervousness from South African bowlers must have helped. But as I said, KL Rahul had a fantastic series in England, so he must be, obviously in great form. He must be feeling good. Mayank had a very good last Test match against England. He got 150 on a tricky pitch, so that confidence he just carried on from there. So really great to see that kind of start.
Last time Rahul was in South Africa, Daryl came into the series in the Centurion Test, got scores of 10, 4, 0, 16. It perhaps was the start of his decline in Test cricket. Looks a different batter right now. What was the hallmark of that innings for you?
Well, I think Wasim summed it up beautifully, where he just said, yes, South Africa perhaps played a role in helping him get in, but they did look good. He's a beautiful player coming forward, I must say. His love drives beautifully, bowl anything on his pads, even like Agarwal, they're going to score a few. I think part of it too is that they left very well outside off stump.
Yes.
They were very aware of, and there's something that Virat Kohli spoke about before the Test match, is that something that they've identified what they want to play it and leave. And I thought that was a very good hallmark. Only one batsman got it wrong today. That was the captain. That was a very uncharacteristic loose shot of his. But full marks to all the other guys. Can you recall someone really playing and missing much outside off stump? So it just shows you the discipline, and they were aware of what they want to play and leave. And that's vital if you want to bat well in South Africa.
So let's go back to Wasim's point pre-match. Did they play their role as Cinderella well then, Wasim? They knew exactly what time to leave the ball?
I think so. I think most of them, apart from the captain, he actually went after the ball, which was very unlike him, because he was playing beautifully. He was playing. I mean, that has been the case with Virat for such a long time. He bats beautifully till he gets out, and that is something which is disappointing, and that happens to great players. There comes a time when they go through a bad patch, but it doesn't look like a bad patch because he bats so beautifully till he gets out. So he'll obviously feel like he missed an opportunity, but I think most of them played the Cinderella role really, really well, and I hope they do that even tomorrow next session.
Uncharacteristic this from Virat Kohli, Daryl, but we've almost been saying this on repeat for test matches or even other formats for a year now. We rarely see Kohli get his eye in, get set and get out, but that's now happened. From what you've seen of Kohli and the great player that he is, can you explain why suddenly concentration tends to drop when you think he's just got his eye in?
Well, that's the point. You used the word, Rona, concentration. I don't think it was a technical thing. And that can leave you, a bit of anxiety plays a role. Are you hungry enough? Are you clear enough? Are you prepared to bat for long periods? Are you in that mindset? So, when you get to his time and stage of his career and his life where there's, he's got a young family now and there's a lot of cricket, white ball cricket, you seldom leave in the ball. So it takes a certain mindset, I believe, where you've got to be prepared to struggle, to play long periods, prepared to play and miss, and all that sort of stuff, which goes with batting for long periods. And I would just wonder if that's something that's not at the back of his mind. He's not strong enough yet or confident as such. He looked a bit apprehensive. I thought it wasn't the usual Virat that I've seen in the past. At the start of his innings, he's busy. It's almost like he sets his stall there. I'm now going to be the player to watch for the rest of the day. He wasn't quite in that sort of mode. So I think there must be internal battles there, and only he will know what it will take, because he's been there, for him to get back into that run-scoring mode. But I just question whether the desire is still strong enough.
Right, just the one innings, so 5 more to go. You think at some point Virat Kohli will give us an offering of what he's capable of? Ajinkya Rahane, though, if you wanted a start to just just repay the faith in the team management, Wasim, in spite of the lack of form, in spite of all the chat in the media? He looked like he looks like he's coming into the game with a lot of hundreds. That 40 was pretty breezy.
It did look the old Ajinkya Rahane, and when he plays like that, he looks a different player. And then, then few innings goes where he comes back, a little bit defensive, and that surprises everyone because I don't know why he changes his approach. And but when he bats like that, he's such a treat to watch. And I hope he carries on tomorrow and be the old Ajinkya Rahane that we know. Uh, because he's very assured of his defense and his attacking shots. He's leaving the ball really nicely and he's very comfortable at the crease, and that is something very nice to see. And that is something which comes with experience. There's so much talk of him being dropped and a lot of people written him off, but he's come out and played beautifully, and very very nice to see in such an important day of the test match. He's standing tall.
In complete contrast, perhaps the worst possible innings that Chiteshwar Pujara could have had. Well, it's only one ball, and anyone can get a good ball first up, Wasim. But did that one ball tell you something about Pujara and the way he managed, the way he got out? What did you make of the wicket?
No, I think you got to, excuse him because the first ball, it can happen to the best of the batters, and
Mm.
that was a good ball, shaped in, taken an edge, and could have gone anywhere. One of those things. So you got to leave it behind and prepare for the next inning. I think, and he'll do that. He must have gone through that many a times.
I'd hate to go after a batter who's got out first ball, Daryl. I mean, simple as that. But would you have anything more to add on that? Are you looking at a batter who's perhaps committed to the front foot or any of that at all, or should we just leave it? He got a good one.
I think so. It's always difficult first up, but I'm more concerned always when a guy that gets in and gets out. So I'm sure he's going to have his moments. And when you've had a lean patch and you get in and you're up for it, I wouldn't be surprised if he follows it up with something really substantial.
And I must ask the two of you, in these days with DRS and ball tracker, there's no reason for a batter to be overly disappointed if he's out on the technology. But if you were Mayank Agarwal, would you still feel like, gee, nah, ball tracker shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't be telling me that? Wasim?
Well, what can you say? I mean, it did look with the naked eye that it's going to go over the stump. We are not playing at Kanpur, we're playing at Centurion. But it did look like it's going to miss and probably go over. But you got to give it to DRS. Probably India will have their moments too. So
Yeah.
you got to take it.
And with the on-field call being not out, you think all he needs is that margin, whatever it is, to make
Yes.
sure it's umpire's call and he survives, Daryl. But you can understand the disappointment, wouldn't you, in that one?
No, absolutely. Look, I don't have 100% faith in the ball tracking side of things, but he can take a lot out of that knock. He can take a tremendous amount. You spoke about it earlier, the apprehension. What are we going to do here? So for India as a whole, this has got to be a massive confidence booster for them.
Absolutely. Now, looking ahead to day two, Daryl, if you were in that South African team huddle or dugout right now or dressing room, what would be the plan for day two tomorrow morning? Can they still nip this and stay in it?
Well, I think that first hour, as usual, is going to be very important, but they need to bowl very differently. Far more aggression. They've got to run in, as if every ball, their life depends on it. Because what I saw today was one of the most timid displays of fast bowling that I've seen in this country. Whether they're actually up for it, whether they know it or don't know it, whether they physically can do it, I don't know. Because if India push on here beyond 400, they're firmly in control of this test match.
Is it at all an excuse with the rustiness that we speak of, Daryl, the lack of red ball cricket? Can that at all be afforded to South Africa on this one day today, or could they still have been better?
Well, yes, that does play a role. But look, I've never bowled a fast ball in my life. But surely, how can you be 10 Ks off your pace? You might be rusty in terms of your lines and lengths, maybe your stamina. So for me, it's just beyond that. It's just going through the motions, expecting things to happen. I'm not too sure why that is the case. Surely the captain, the coach would speak about it. So they would have to sit down and be very honest with themselves as a bowling unit. We saw Maharaj struggle, uncharacteristically, he missed his lengths too often. But just the way the Indian batsmen open that bat face, and they just know where that one is. Far too often he fields, he easily gives away singles. So by and large, they never built up any pressure. You never felt any bowler. I mean, Mulder's, he's struggling to be a fourth seam, let's be honest. You can only get yourself out against him. But they somehow just at no stage built any pressure as a unit. So they need to look at a good few things. But first and foremost, it's got to start with that aggressive attitude. And it was sadly very lacking today. And they've just played India into a great position. India batted well, but South Africa assisted them.
And from this position, Wasim, you think India must be eyeing 400 now, their best chance to get to that sort of score with the start they've had?
I think so. With the new ball, if they get 10, 15 overs away without losing wickets, and then Rishabh Pant to come in, Shardul can bat, Ashwin can bat, 400, and then obviously you can't say too many things too early. You don't know until South Africa bat once, but India definitely, with those four seamers, they'll obviously exploit the pitch far better than I would say these South African quicks have done. But 400 and above, India will definitely be on the driver's seat.
All right, brilliant. Heck of a day of Test cricket, especially if you're an Indian fan. Big thank you to Daryl Cullinan and Wasim Jaffer. We have a lot of rain that's forecast for tomorrow, so clearly we'll get a full day's play if you want to go by the trustworthiness of the weather reports in South Africa. We'll see Daryl and Wasim at Stumps on day 2. Join us then on ESPN Cricket for Match Day.